This is the Rebel Room, a Las Vegas Sun Sports podcast. Mike Grimala alongside myself, Ray Brewer, talking all things UNLV athletics. And Mike, it is a fun time of the year. Both football and basketball have winning records.
When was the last time that happened at this point in the season?
That's a good trivia question.
Because last year football got off to that hot start, but it was basketball that kind of fell behind, right? Didn't they? They started like 3-4, 4-5.
Correct. And then traditionally, football has had some struggling years where they haven't had winning records, even though the Heart of Las Vegas Bowl team did technically have a winning record, and maybe sometime in that season the basketball team also had a winning record.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, Mike, is that we're on uncharted grounds. Maybe a great trivia question. Maybe we give out a Mike Grimala signed UNLV media guide to whoever has the answer. If you know, hit him up at Mike Grimala.
I hear my email explode. My inbox is exploding right now with that prize. Tons of people want that. But, you want to start with football and their chances that they've got left for this Mountain West Championship game and the playoffs.
What are the chances they have left? I'm very curious.
Well, if they win all their games, the remaining games, I would say they get like a...
They're 10-2.
50-50 chance, maybe? How's that sound?
But they need Boise and or Colorado. They need Colorado State to lose.
Yeah, the Boise is not going to happen. They've got one conference game left because of the unbalanced schedule, because of that joint scheduling. Mm-hmm. They've only got one Mountain West game remaining. So even if they lose that game, they'll be tied with UNLV, and they'll have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Colorado State, much easier path. If they lose one game and UNLV wins their remaining two, they are both 6-1 for the year. And the rankings have UNLV way ahead of Colorado State. Since they didn't play head-to-head, their tiebreaker is going to be a composite of like 4 different rankings, computer rankings, and UNLV is just blowing them away in the rankings. So it's a done deal.
Ranked number 23 as we speak. So Colorado State, Saturday, maybe their best chance
This
to
is
lose.
the best chance, yeah.
Okay, they're at Fresno State.
And I believe Fresno State is still 1 win shy of bowl eligibility.
Which matters.
So you're going to get your best shot from Fresno State, I would imagine.
In likely a senior day setting.
Yeah, so this is, and they play the day after. So UNLV plays on Friday at San Jose State, which is not an easy game. They're going to have to really go in there and play well to come away with a win. But if they are able to win that game, then UNLV fans will get ready for the second big game of the weekend on Saturday, and they can all watch this Fresno State, Colorado State game.
What do you think I know you're not really much of a gambler, Michael.
The line for that, I would say Colorado State by 1.5.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
I say a very slim favorite for Colorado State, like less than a field goal.
Fresno State is a 3-point favorite.
Okay.
I'm just giving high fives to Rebel Nation.
He's going around the room.
This is an opportunity, Michael.
Yeah, so Colorado State not really respected despite being undefeated in conference play. They got a very lucky schedule this year. They didn't play Boise. They didn't play UNLV. They haven't even played Fresno State yet. So they're just basically beating up the bottom 5 teams in the conference to get to this point. And credit for taking care of business, but they really have not played a tough game. This is basically their first test, and it comes, the second to last weekend. So,
yeah, and CSU, Jay Norville, the former UNR coach, they're actually receiving votes in the coaches poll and the AP. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that they received something, but they are not. This is not a team that is going to win. I would be curious to see what the line would be if they played Boise State in the Mountain West Championship game. I would guess Boise by double digits would be the line there.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking 13, 14 points.
More than double digits would be triple digits.
I don't think
I got Boise minus 100, Mike, yes.
So on one hand, this is UNLV's, this is your best chance to get the Colorado State loss. UNLV's going to win a tough game. On the other hand, this Fresno State team that you're all relying on to come through for you and win this game, UNLV beat them by 50 points earlier in the year. So it's not like Fresno State is some world beater. It's a decent Mountain West team that's struggling to get bowl eligible. Hit or miss. They could play well. They've got a passing game that's somewhat dangerous, so they could come out and be in rhythm and give Colorado State all they can handle, or it could be the Fresno State that showed up at Allegiant Stadium a month ago and just got smoked. So if you're a UNLV fan, you're basically hoping.
If you're a betting man, UNLV is favored by 7.5 at San Jose.
That's a big line for a team that was up 14-0 on Boise State this past weekend.
In the game of the year for them, sold out. They had all the recruits there. They put all eggs into the Boise basket that week.
So you think it may be a little bit of a letdown the week following?
I'm thinking that some of the students are leaving campus to go home for Turkey Day. UNLV flies directly into San Jose.
They emptied the tank against Boise State.
They emptied the tank against Boise. I like where your head's at. And we'll see what happens. UNLV is undefeated on the road.
Yeah.
Which, Mike, they would go years. I know we've made constant comparisons from the old UNLV to the new UNLV that we love. And I think the comparisons are no more profound than the road record. They would never win on the road.
Yeah.
And now they're undefeated on the road.
And favored by more than a touchdown in a must-win game.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, that's all good stuff. I think if you're a UNLV fan, you can still be optimistic at this point. You have a path. It's pretty cut and dry. You're a big UNLV fan, obviously, and then you're also a big Fresno State fan to beat Colorado State. If those two things happen, I think UNLV probably trounces UNR in the finale, and you get that rematch that everyone wants. Mountain West title game, UNLV at Boise State the following week.
And UNLV would be a 10-point dog.
I forget what the line was for the first meeting, but I'd probably say like 6. You're not giving UNLV a little bit of respect there? I know it's on the road, but as you said,
I've seen the last 2 games. I've been at the last 2 games, both here in an indoor environment, sold out for UNLV.
You just got done telling me that they're road warriors now, and they go on the road and they take care of business, and they're undefeated. And
correct.
So what would the ultimate road warrior team do? What's the ultimate venue? Is going up to Boise.
Tough to go from practicing in 110 to playing in 12.
Listen, I walked my dog this morning at 6 a.m. It was 35 degrees out. So, I mean, like...
And you managed.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, UNLV, if they're out there practicing in the mornings, they're getting a little taste of the frost.
Not the snowy... What's the weather in Boise right now? I hate to turn this into a news show. It's 42.
It was colder this morning in Las Vegas.
42 and sunny at whatever time it is at Boise.
Yeah.
2:20 or 1:20, right?
So I'm telling you, it's not that wildly different right now. But
hopefully it's not a night game, Michael, because it would be 40-some degrees.
That's up to the TV networks. I believe it was a day game last year, wasn't it? Wasn't it like a... Honestly, I can't remember.
It was a day game last year, yeah.
And if I'm wrong about that, please forgive me, listeners. I cannot remember that long ago. But I don't think UNLV would be a massive underdog like that going into that Mountain West Championship game. I know we're way ahead of ourselves now. We're 3 months in the future. We're there in the title game, and Colorado State lost, and all of it's happened. But I do think that you've got like a pretty good chance of all of this falling into place.
What I do like about UNLV is they've won close games, right? They pulled it out against Kansas. They hung on against Oregon State, who's awful now. They even at Hawaii, it was nip and tuck there for a while. They hung on Hawaii, hadn't won in the islands in forever. And I think the style of their offense, where they try to get some yards on the ground, is beneficial to winning a cold weather game at Boise. My biggest hiccup is I've watched their lines just get demolished by Boise.
Boise, UNLV could not block them. Boise State's defensive line won that game. Like it didn't come down to Genti. It didn't come down to the quarterbacks. It came down to UNLV could not block Boise State's defensive line.
Correct.
So I don't know if that much has changed in it would be 5 weeks since they last played, or 6 weeks. I don't know if that much has changed up front. Maybe there's some scheming you can do. That would still be probably my biggest issue going into that game.
Well,
if they get there.
And maybe UNLV, and we rave about Barry Odom and Marion, the offensive coordinator, and Shire, the defensive coordinator. You're right. What adjustments are they going to make?
Yeah.
Well, what are they saving for the most important game in UNLV history? It's like elections. Yeah. Every election is the most important election of our lifetime, and it turns out every UNLV football game is the most important in school history. Well,
that's what happens when there are so few contenders before now. But one of the things that I thought was interesting in their press conference this week, or last week, Jalen St. John, who's their offensive lineman, he was talking about, they ran for, 250 plus at Hawaii. I think they were over 250 again in this past game against San Diego State. And they're doing it. It doesn't feel. I don't have the stats in front of me. I didn't research this beforehand, so forgive me if I'm off base. But it seems like they're not breaking as many long runs as last year. Like they're not hitting as many, 50, 60 plus yarders. But they are grinding it out on the ground. They are producing a lot of rushing yards. And Jalen St. John said, there were times when we get away from it, and I don't know why we do that because we're a good running team, and that's what we have to be. And it feels like since that Boise State game, UNLV has recommitted to running the ball out of their go-go sets and handing it to the running backs, and Haj Malik Williams still gets his carries. It seemed like there was a stretch when they kind of fell in love with Haj Malik Williams, the dual threat. We've got this new toy, run it, pass it. Let's get a little glitzy with the offensive calls. And after that loss to Boise State, when they couldn't block on any of those dropbacks, it seems like to me like they recommitted and said, we are a ground-based team. We're going to run the ball again. We're going to make you defend that first and foremost, and we're going to run for 250 plus. And then we'll sprinkle in the Haj Malik Williams highlight plays and the options and that kind of stuff. And it's been working. Not that they, Hawaii was a squeaker, but in San Diego State, I thought they were back to basics, and that was basically...
Hawaii's always going to be a squeaker, just based on...
At Hawaii, going onto the island.
I think the bye week was at a perfect time for UNLV. Gave them a chance to recover from getting beat up physically against Boise.
And when you do self-scouting like that, the bye week is when you do it. This is the stuff that we got to get back to.
Yeah, look at yourself in the mirror, find out what's working, what's not working, and just talking out loud, say UNLV, Michael, goes 10-2. And I'm asking you a question that you probably don't know the answer to because we don't know how the bowl games are going to look and feel.
Okay.
Say UNLV goes 10-2, Boise wins the Mountain West. They beat Colorado State. What kind of bowl game is UNLV looking at? Are they relegated to the Albuquerque Bowl, or do they get something a little more sexy because they're ranked?
If Boise State wins the conference without another loss, so say they win their regular season games, they win the title game, they're going to the college football playoff. So UNLV would be a lock for the LA Bowl at that point. The LA Bowl takes the best Mountain West team unless that team goes to the playoffs, which Boise State would. So then they would get their pick of the next Mountain West team that they want. Colorado State would be ahead of UNLV, I guess, in the standings, but the LA Bowl would much rather have UNLV there versus USC or Washington
against who
or
now
UCLA.
The Pac-12 is dead.
It's it's either the fourth or the fifth Pac team, or
but the Pac doesn't
what it used to be.
So
that's true, but that's what it was. So I'm not exactly sure what the tie-in is there. But all the projections I've seen every week is basically UNLV locked into that LA Bowl.
Is that good or bad?
I think that's good. I think for UNLV fans, I think that's good. If there's 2,000 people that want to make that trip, you definitely can. It's early in bowl season. It's a network game. I believe it's televised on ABC, so you get one of your three major networks. It gets a lot of hype because Rob Gronkowski is the face of the bowl game, so he's out there doing a lot of promo for it, and that gets a lot of coverage. Regionally, I think for the coaching staff, it's good if you want to recruit these areas and you want to promote it to the next wave of guys.
Yeah, but they're playing. I mean,
You're looking at the bowl schedule.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the projections. And I guess once you take out all the teams in the playoff, and now you've got James Madison against Liberty and North Texas against Louisiana Lafayette, who cares? But UNLV against Cal, is that sexy for you?
Not Cal, But
Cal is not sexy.
But
That's why I said.
But UNLV versus USC, UNLV versus UCLA.
There's a good storyline there.
Yeah, with Jade and Mayaba coming back, it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up being the matchup. I've seen that projected by a number of people. UNLV versus Washington, a team that was in the title game a year ago, would be interesting. So, yeah, you're not getting. Obviously, it's not a playoff game. You're not playing in the playoffs. You're not playing in a New Year's Day bowl or some. But the LA Bowl, I feel like, is a very good spot. It's a step up from where they were last year in that guaranteed rate bowl, where they.
And they don't tell you how much money the bowl's worth.
That I don't know off the top of my head.
According to this website I'm on, is it still called the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl?
That I don't know. I know Rob Gronkowski's name is in there. It's like the LA Bowl presented by Gronk or something along those lines. It's like a sponsored LA Bowl presented by Gronk.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't like it.
Not really. I mean, so Michael, we're different in one way.
Okay.
I'm an old soul.
Uh-huh.
I'm a traditionalist.
And I'm like a youth culture I'm plugged into.
Correct.
Yeah.
To me, I want to play in like the Cotton Bowl, right? Or even the Alamo Bowl, a bowl that I've heard of. The LA Bowl presented by Jimmy Kimmel with an appearance from Gronk against Cal doesn't float my boat.
It's not going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 1979 with some great photo, of like Army versus Wisconsin or something. It's not going to be like some game for the ages, but it's going to get a lot of eyeballs. People are going to watch it. It's a nice trip for UNLV fans, which I think if you're trying to build your these are the things that UNLV has to consider. They're trying to build a fan base and a donor base, and that's a good trip for them. Like that's a good, you get out there, you can wear a T-shirt, you can go to the game, you can.
I keep going around for other sources, Michael, but now I'm 3 people that have UNLV Cal for that game. Do you think they're together?
I don't know. You've got me thinking about
this is what I'd love. The LA Bowl. It's now called the LA Bowl, hosted by Gronk.
Yeah, let's go. We like that.
And I know you're a big Patriot guy, so the Gronk, you got to grin from ear to ear.
Yeah,
But apparently K-State is also in the mix, which I'd rather play K-State than Cal.
Okay.
Which our athletic director is a K-State grad.
That's true. To be honest, completely honest, the opponent really does not matter to me unless it's a USC with like an obvious storyline like Jaden Mayava leaving, or unless it's like a glamorous opponent, like a USC or a Texas if Texas gets knocked out of the football playoffs or something. It's just going to be some random opponent. Just make your peace with that. Like last year, they ended up in Phoenix playing the Kansas. Like it's none of it is matter. Like it's random.
The good news is that UNLV would be favored by 1 over Cal.
It's a spin of the wheel to see who you're playing in these games, but you see pretty much every single projection has them in the LA Bowl.
So the other reason I don't like the December 18th is because you're missing out on practice time.
You see,
right? If you could push it back a week, you get an extra 5 practices.
Well, for the team that I would have to check. I don't know if I think they give you a set number of practices that you can. I think it's like 10 extra practices or something. I'm completely talking. I don't know what I'm talking about. I would have to check on that. Disregard what I'm saying. I do know that as a media member, which I know no one listening to cares about. Going down to cover a game in Phoenix on December 26th last year and doing all the media stuff on the 25th was not so great. I would take December 18th over that. So give me the earlier date.
I got you.
Give me a chance to go on Christmas vacation after that. And for your fans as well, I think it's probably easier to get people. Last year it was tough to ask your fans to travel to Phoenix on Christmas to see the game against Kansas.
Okay, so shifting gears to basketball.
Yes.
Is UNLV the worst team in the nation?
Oh, geez, this is quite a downshift.
No. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You've been to the game.
I know.
This is a good question.
Okay.
Is UNLV basketball, who's only played home games, the worst team in the nation at defending the 3-point line? Statistically, there's got to be a stat.
I'll slyly look it up, some stats while I go about it. But their defense has not been good. And by saying that, what I mean to say is they've been bad.
Correct. Alabama A&M, who they opened with.
Shot the lights out against them.
Correct. How does that happen?
Memphis made like their last 14 shots to steal that game.
Memphis made 81% of their shots in the second half.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Bad defense.
That's like Villanova versus Georgetown national championship game. I don't know if you were alive yet, Michael, for that.
If I was alive, I was not conscious and sentient to watch college basketball.
Okay, well, that's
but I'm aware of it.
Massimino running around that bum. We don't like. I mean, may he rest in peace, but he's not very popular here in Vegas.
UNLV is allowing opponents to shoot 38.5% from 3-point range, and it's a third of the shots that they're giving up.
That seems like
it's bad.
But actually, that it seems to me. It seems like any time an opponent shoots the ball, it goes in from 3.
Yeah.
And 2 of the opponents they've played aren't that good, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. But UNLV is 2-1. They lost to Memphis. They beat Alabama A&M, and they also beat.
Their 3-point defense is 61 in the nation, which is not horrible. 38.5
out of 318 teams.
Yeah, it's not horrible. And they're not bad at running teams off the line. They're actually pretty good at that. But what Kruger has been saying, because we keep asking him about the defense, we're holding his feet to the fire as a press corps, and what he's been saying is like, it's attitude. Like, we're just kind of hoping the other team misses, but what we've got to do is like get up in their grill, make them uncomfortable, and make them miss shots.
Is there any pressure? Has anybody? I don't want to say has anybody asked Kevin, but is he under pressure to get to the tournament this year?
Okay,
is it a career-defining season?
I'm going to lay out the facts. He signed a 5-year contract. He's going into year 4. Correct. How many coaches coach as a lame duck on the final year of their contract? Almost none. So he's going into his 4th out of 5 years, and they have not extended him. So what does that tell you? Well, tells you if he doesn't get the job done this year, he's not going to get extended, and he's probably going to get fired.
But what if he makes the tournament?
Then he'll probably get extended. So, I mean, that's as black and white as I can say it. And this is just me from the outside. I'm not reporting any inside information. But they let the coach into the second to last year on his contract without an extension, which means you're basically coaching for your job. In my estimation. That's my reading of the tea leaves.
I mean, the last time they went to the tournament, they played Cal. Is that ironic or coincidental?
It's not ironic until the football team actually plays Cal, but it's potentially ironic.
Okay, potentially ironic. In 2012, Michael.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a long time ago, right?
It is a long time.
Okay.
But Kruger's not the only guy that's failed to get them to the tournament.
Uh-huh.
They've gone through 3 coaches since then.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah, it's very interesting, to say the least. And somewhere along the way, they're going to have to. I could see a pathway for football to get it done, right? Colorado State loses to Fresno. They beat San Jose State. They beat Reno. Pack the bags. We're going to Idaho, right?
Yep.
Where is the basketball team going to do enough to get an at-large bid?
Their path is. If you're asking me to be a prognosticator, I don't think their path is through an at-large bid. I don't think they're going to be good enough in the regular season to get that done.
No.
They do
pretend they're good enough. I'm not asking you if they're good enough. What is the path? What do they have to do in the regular season to get an at-large bid? Because the tournament, they ain't winning the tournament. They haven't won the tournament in forever. And they're not going to win the Mountain West tournament.
Yeah.
But what do they have to do? How many wins do they have to obtain? Whom do they have to beat for the tournament to say, hey, go play in the play-in game in Dayton. Pack your bags.
If you get to 22 wins in the regular season, you add a couple in the Mountain West tournament, you're up to 24. Your Ken Palm is in the top 50 at least. You probably want to be in the top 40 if you're going to be on the bubble. They're not close to that yet. They blew a big chance in the second game when they were up 13 points on Memphis, and they let Memphis score on every single possession down the stretch. Because that would be a good win. That would be a nice win over Memphis, a team that's probably going to be in the tournament unless they fall apart. You could have had a win over them, and that's what you need at the end of the year. So they let that one get away. They've got this Arizona tip-off. They're going to be playing Mississippi State and then either Butler or Northwestern. Not great teams.
Is Caitlin Clark going to be there?
And in what capacity?
Well, isn't her husband on the coaching staff of Butler?
Oh, it is maybe. I think so. But and then you've got a game at Creighton, a team that UNLV beat last year. That was your best win last year. So another chance. They go to Dayton. That's another chance to get a quality win. Mm-hmm. And then when you get into Mountain West play, and you've got 2 against Boise State, you got a couple against San Diego State, New Mexico, UNR, who's probably going to be pretty good. So you've got some good Mountain West wins that you can rack up. And UNLV was really good in Mountain West play last year. Give Kevin Kruger credit. He got his team into shape, and they took care of business in the Mountain West. They finished second, I believe, in the standings, or tied for second. So they were definitely at their best at that point in the schedule. You're asking me to look at this and say, like, do I see enough wins to build an at-large resume? No, I don't think that's their path. What they would have to do, you've got to win like 6 or 7 games against tournament teams in the regular season. You've got to get to 22 wins regular season. It's really tough for a team like UNLV, which I don't think they're great talent-wise. They've got one great player. They've got some guys who can sort of fill in around him, but I don't see an at-large team there. I think their best chance is still going to be Mountain West tournament, get a bye, win 3 games, have DJ Thomas carry you for 2 of them. I think that's their best bet.
What if they beat, just talking out loud, the one thing, like when Dave was the coach, not to compare coaching errors, but there was always games on there where you could pick up wins.
Yeah.
Right?
They played a lot of top 25 teams.
You're looking at it now, the only games that you could separate yourself and prove that you're a tournament team are tough. You only had 1 game at home against somebody who mattered, and it was Memphis.
Yeah.
And you let them shoot 81% in the second half, right?
Yeah, and you kicked it away, yeah.
Okay.
You got a couple neutral site games in that multi-team event. You get the second half of home and home with Creighton.
That game's Creighton's ranked at least.
Yeah.
Pop Isaacs, a Vegas kid, against DJ Thomas, a Vegas kid. Right? Maybe you got a chance to beat Creighton and Omaha.
Sure.
If you beat Mississippi State and Creighton and you finish in the top 4 of your league and you win 2 Mountain West games, could you make the tournament?
The Mountain West is generally going to get multiple teams in the tournament. In the past, they've had 5, they've had 6, they've had 3. So if the rest of the league, we don't know how good the rest of the league is, but it's a league that can put 4 teams in. Like if you finish in the top 4 and you have the resume to back that up, you're probably going to be at least on the bubble or talked about on Selection Sunday, which UNLV has not even been in the conversation for 10 years on Selection Sunday.
Correct. I mean, but you look, Utah State's already 4-0, right?
I have not started paying attention to.
Well, we're paying attention right
now.
now. Utah State 4-0, Reno 4-0, right?
There you go. Boise State's going to be good.
New Mexico, Wyoming, everybody in the league is good. It's just.
And you haven't even gotten to San Diego State. They're going to pick it up and be a toughest team in the league by the end of the year.
Like yesterday, Michael, I wrote Mrs. Tarkanian's obit, Lois, right? And it just got me thinking, the whole purpose of sports, I'm going to go really deep on you.
Okay.
The whole purpose of sports is what?
To be a TV show to sell advertising for the networks. That's not the answer you're looking for. I feel like that you were looking for something.
No, I thought you were going to say the whole point of sports is to win.
It's competition, of course, yes.
Okay, for me, it's the friendships. And I saw how everybody was coming out yesterday and talking how much they love Lois and love each other. And, we're 20 whatever years removed from, or 30 whatever years removed from the national championship season. The guys from 77 are 50 years or 48 years or whatever removed. And it's that brotherhood that maintains. And it just saddens me that every year they're not ranked. The attendance is subpar. You know, it is what it is, in my humble opinion.
The attendance has been rough this year.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Absolutely.
And any hope they had from last year of that NIT run sort of getting
Correct.
people excited is not carried over.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct.
Should we wrap it there?
Yeah, let's wrap it. So this is the Rebel Room, a Las Vegas Sun podcast. For Mike, I'm Ray, and we thank everybody for listening.